everybody. Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventures. Just Dave here. Today I'm talking about the movie Killers of the Flower Moon. This will be a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the movie yet and you are concerned about spoilers, I would suggest you go and watch the movie first before you watch this review. So, Killers of the Flower Moon is Martin Scorsese's newest movie. It's based on a book, which is in turn based on a real-life story about the Osage Indian murders. Basically, a couple guys in the 20s took advantage of some Native women who had money and land by marrying them and then murdering them. So, as far as what I liked about the movie, overall the cast was great. DiCaprio is always a solid actor, and I think he does a very good job in this. His performance is very much reminded me of Billy Bob Thornton in Sling Blade at some points. I thought De Niro, of course, always good. Robert De Niro in this. And he's got like 80 years old now, I think, and getting around pretty good. He's still doing it. And I think the big story, of course, is Lily Gladstone as Molly. It's the first thing I've ever seen her in, but she was great. I really, really liked her performance. Apparently, she was in a movie called Certain Women before this that Scorsese saw. He liked her in that, and that's what led him to cast her in this. But yeah, I'll have to check that out. But she was great in this. I really, really liked her performance. Jesse Plemons, of course, always good. He's not in it much. It's a long-ass movie. He shows up about halfway through, I guess. And John Lithgow, always great. Always love John Lithgow. And Brendan Fraser, again, he's kind of only in the end. He's only got maybe 5 or 6 lines, maybe a little more, but it feels like he only had like 3 or 4 lines. But yeah, he's good. He's good in it too. I like Brendan Fraser. Cinematography is very good. Is by Rodrigo Prieto. Prieto, yeah. He's done a bunch of stuff. He works with Scorsese a lot. He did Wolf of Wall Street and Silence. He also did Brokeback Mountain. He did Barbie. So he's done a bunch of stuff. It was edited by Thelma Schoonmaker. She's edited everything that Scorsese's done since Raging Bull in 1980. She's a rock star editor. She's been nominated like 8 times for the Academy Award, won it 3 times, I think. I really like the score by Robbie Robertson, who played with Bob Dylan and was in the band. He's done a lot of scores for Scorsese. Since again, the first thing he did with him was Raging Bull. He did a bunch of stuff after that with him. He's actually Native American himself, or of Native descent. His mom was Cayuga and Mohawk, and he passed away shortly after finishing the score for this. So yeah, that's a loss. But yeah, the score was really good. I really enjoyed his music and the actual songs that they used. They used a lot of songs from the 20s and like Native American songs and kind of just traditional kind of folk songs, and all really good. And of course, appropriate for the era, and I really enjoyed it. There's no Rolling Stones, at least maybe there's at the very end. I didn't watch it till the end of the credits, but he always was Rolling Stones in this movie, you know. Overall, I thought the story was great, very compelling, very interesting. I was not familiar with the story of the Osage Indian murders. I had never heard of it before, and much like the situation in Oklahoma with the black town that got bombed that I can't remember the name of right now. Tulsa, the Tulsa race riots, which are mentioned in the movie. I didn't hear about those until Watchmen, the Watchmen TV show, I think, like most people. And yeah, it's happened in the same place, same time period, basically, and same state, I believe. So yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, Tulsa, Oklahoma, yes. Crazy story. I felt so terrible for the women who were being taken advantage of, and yeah, it's really messed up. These guys did this terrible stuff, but it was a compelling story and interesting to watch for sure. Amazing set design, everything looked perfect, and it's the kind of thing you almost take it for granted. You don't even really think about it, but yeah, they did a lot of really cool stuff with actually designing the town and everything else there. I don't know how much of that was already there and how much was built for the movie, but I assume a fair amount was built for the movie. Costumes were great. Again, very period appropriate. I enjoyed them, especially she has some cool looks with the all the Native American clothes and stuff. And yeah, and 20s clothes are cool looking. I like it. It made sense. It fit. The cars are cool too. It's cool to see cars from the 20s, like, because basically all you ever see is like Model Ts and stuff. So this was even, I think, before the Model T, these cars might have been. So yeah, that was pretty cool to see. Or I guess after. I don't know. Either way, I should know. Mom, tell me in the comments if you watch this one. So yeah, I enjoyed also the Osage dialogue. There was a lot of it where they wouldn't even give you subtitles for it because, you didn't need it. You could tell mostly from context. Although there was one scene where I was just like, hey, I wouldn't mind having some subtitles here, but I could tell what was going on. But that was fun. I actually thought that DiCaprio and De Niro seemed to do a really good job with it. I have no idea what it's supposed to sound like, but they sounded, yeah, at least they sounded confident when they said it. And I bought it. So I was like, hey, good for you guys there. And I really like the radio show ending. I really appreciated, instead of doing like the whatever National Lampoon's Animal House thing, where they pop up their pictures and have a little thing, or there's a little text. They did this whole radio show thing. Jack White shows up randomly there at the end. I forgot, and does a questionable Native American accent, but it's fine. It was set in the 20s or 30s or whatever. So yeah, it's that was good. That was funny to see. Although don't be racist, guys. Come on, no, it's fine. As far as what I disliked about the movie, so yeah, not to be too superficial, but DiCaprio's face just kind of like bothered me in this, and I think it's just at first I'm like, is he wearing prosthetics, or is he just just had a rough couple years? But I think it's partially because he's just doing this like kind of frowny scowl all the time, and it just makes his face look very weird, and it was just kind of distracting for me. I don't know. The movie is way too long, 3 hours and 26 minutes, I think. It didn't need to be that long. Honestly, you could have started this movie like halfway into it, and I feel like I would have been able to follow what was going on pretty easily. Just I'm all for letting the filmmaker tell their story, and in some way it seems silly, I've said this before, to complain that a movie's too long, because you're paying the same amount regardless if it's 82 minutes or 2 hours and 3 hours and 26 minutes or whatever. But I felt like maybe I could have just used an intermission, a bathroom break or something, but not that I even really needed that necessarily. But I do just think the movie was too long. It was a little too indulgent. There was like some scenes that just went on a little too long for me, that just like, okay, I get it, you can kind of like, let's move on here, let's get to the point. And again, not to say anything about Thelma's Schoonmaker. Like I said, she's an amazing editor, but I don't know. I feel like I could have cut an hour out of this, and you wouldn't have missed anything of the story at all. I also thought choosing the perspective they chose, which is telling it through DiCaprio's character, who was married to Molly, was an odd perspective to choose, because this is a story about women who are being taken advantage of and murdered, and having their families' money stolen from them. So then the idea then to have a mostly male cast, or at least focusing mostly on men, and it's directed by a man, it's written by a man. Like I feel like this could definitely benefit from having a more of a female perspective, or even setting the movie from more of Molly's perspective, because again, Lily Gladstone was great in this, and we could have had a lot more of her, and I wish we had more of her. I could have watched the whole movie with her just in the house sick, and DiCaprio coming back and forth, and her increasingly trying to figure out what's going on and worrying that her husband might be trying to kill her. That to me could have been more interesting, or at least have a little bit more of that in this. Whereas she's like I said, she's great, especially at the beginning. I like their kind of flirting and their relationship and all of that. But then she kind of gets sick, and she's not really in it that much. I mean, she is, but it focuses more on DiCaprio and De Niro, which of course I understand they're the big stars and they got paid $30 million or whatever for it. But I don't know. I think I would have preferred at least a little bit more from the perspective of the women who were being attacked here. And then there were some performances, I think, that were probably, I'm fairly sure, with people who are not professional actors, that they weren't terrible, but they were obviously not professional actors. And there was even there was one scene with the kind of older white guy who they hire to do some stuff, who they go through to hire the guy to blow up the house, I think, among other things. He was actually good, but like his first scene, or one of his first scenes, for whatever reason, I didn't quite buy his line reading. It was like, why is this bad? What's going on here? And so there definitely seemed like times where maybe could have gotten a couple more takes. It felt like a Clint Eastwood movie in some ways, where he's just like, all right, 2 takes and that's it. I don't need actors. Just say the lines. You're good. So just come on. Scorsese, I expect a little more from you, but non-actor performances, I get that. It is cool. I think I was actually watching an interview. Apparently he just pulled in random Osage people who were around and was like, hey, I like you. Come here, do that what you just did on camera. Like, okay, they just look at what improv. There's apparently a fair amount of improv here, which Scorsese does that. That's his thing. So other than that, it is directed by Martin Scorsese. It is pronounced Scorsese, not Scorsese. I just watched him say it, so I'm fairly sure that that's right. Of course, he's been making movies since the late 60s, early 70s, I think. Wolf of Wall Street was one of his more recent movies. Silence, which nobody saw because it looked like the fake movie from Tropic Thunder. But yeah, he's a great filmmaker. He's made some really good movies. Lately, though, it does seem like his stuff has gotten a little bit longer and a little more indulgent than it needs to be. But yeah, of all those guys who came up in the 70s, like Coppola and Lucas, he's kind of the only one who's still relevant. Maybe Spielberg, but I don't know if they were really on the same thing. I'm not sure. But anyway, movie was written by Scorsese and Eric Roth, who I thought it was Eli Roth at first. And I'm like, really? Eli Roth? That's crazy. But no, Eric Roth, no relation as far as I can tell. He adapted Forrest Gump, Munich, Dune. So yeah, he's been around for sure. It's based on a book by David Grann. I have not read the book. I'm not sure what the differences are between the two. And of course, it is based on a true story about the Osage Indian murders. This really happened to people. It's at least like 30 people who ended up dying, but some people think it may have been closer to a couple hundred. So a pretty terrible situation that I'm glad they made a movie about it, because I wouldn't have known about it otherwise, I guess. Movie had a $200 million budget. It got up there, I think, partially because DiCaprio, I think I read, got $30 million for it. I assume De Niro probably got about the same. So, I mean, they probably spent half of that just on salaries, just on actors alone. And then, yeah, period pieces are very expensive, which is partially why I think Paramount released this, but it's Apple is also involved. And so it's going to at some point be streaming on Apple TV or whatever it's called, which I still don't really understand how that works. I don't have that one, so I don't know. But yeah, it made $44 million so far. I think this weekend it opened second to Taylor Swift's movie, the second weekend of Taylor Swift, which is expected. There's a lot of singers in this, a lot of musicians in this. So, like I said, Jack White shows up at the end. Jason Isbell plays a fairly main character, a fairly big character, I think. Sturgill Simpson's in here too. Pete Yorn, a bunch of stuff like that. So I don't know. It's just Scorsese doing his thing. I think they were all pretty good. I like Sturgill Simpson. I liked him in The Creator earlier. Jason Isbell I thought was pretty good as well. I didn't recognize him because I don't really know much about him, but yeah, fine, I guess. Whatever. Apparently, I guess DiCaprio was originally supposed to play Tom White, who was Jesse Plemons' character. But then he decided he wanted to play Earl. I forget what his name is. It's not Earl. Whatever his character's name is. Yeah, which I assume maybe once he did that changed the script, or maybe that's the way the script always was, and maybe that's why it does focus on that character. But yeah, it's weird. I wonder who would have played that character instead, or if they rewrote the script, or if they didn't start writing until he got involved, or what was going on there. But yeah, I assumed if he did play that character, Tom White, then the movie would have focused more on Tom White. But I don't know. Hard to say, I guess. But yeah, Jesse Plemons is always good, and he was good as that too. For this, they consulted with Principal Chief Jeffrey Standing Bear of the Osage Nation to sort of discuss their involvement. And yeah, Scorsese says it kind of changed the movie and gave them a lot of different ideas, and so it's cool, good for them. Yeah. So as far as my score on this one, I think it's a great movie. I mean, Scorsese is an amazing filmmaker. He knows what he's doing. He's been doing it for 60, 70 years or whatever. Yeah, he knows what he's doing. And it is well made, and it's a very good movie, but it is too damn long. It didn't need to be that long. And I really feel like I would have enjoyed this watching it more at home, where I could, enjoy it, actually just sit down, take my time with it, take a break if I need to, go to the bathroom, maybe go for a walk, stretch my legs, and that being said, I've seen other long movies that are fine. But yeah, I don't think it needed to be as long as it was. So I think my score on this one is going to be an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a good movie, very well made, but not perfect. Yeah. So if you saw the movie, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great night, and I will see you here again next week.